Gojo was an insecure loser who lost his confidence after his childhood friend called him a weirdo for liking girly Hina dolls. But his life changes when he meets Marin, a cosplayer, who asks him to make her costumes to make her look hotter and busty than ever. But because of their collaboration, Gojo becomes more confident, and he rizzes her up, making Marin fall in love with him, and desperate to get freaky with his glizzy. After months of helping her, they start their next cosplay adventure, and Marin shows Gojo a show about chopped-looking Temu Powerpuff Girls who are assassins. But instead of being good at their job, these clapped, big melon Powerpuff Girls stink at their job more than your filthy mothers, and blow themselves up during their missions. However, Gojo enjoys watching the show and shares his enthusiasm with Marin. Gojo asks her which character she wants to cosplay this time around, and she tells him that it's the black-haired girl with creamy plots called Alice. She expresses how much she loves Alice for how much of a cuckoo she is while still being nice, and shows him the exact scene Marin fell in love with her, where Alice first wore her assassin costume and got flustered with how much it made her look like a hoe. She adds that it makes her fall in love more that all the characters in the show wear bunny girl outfits, and it amazes Gojo just how much Marin loves bunny girl costumes. Marin informs him that no sane human being alive doesn't like bunny girls, and that bunny girl outfits are so goated that even multiple non-bunny related animes have characters wearing them for the fan service. Suddenly, Marin starts tweaking for bunny girls, and Gojo realizes just how cracked the outfits are. Then, Marin states that she learned so much from bunny girls that she believes the concept itself is eternal. And in that moment, Gojo relates the bunny outfits to his eternal love for Hina dolls, and completely agrees with her statement. With a newfound motivation, Gojo then tells Marin that he will start planning and designing her new costume. And while she's worried that he might be pushing himself, Gojo assures her that he has gotten used to costume making, and he wants to start right away. Marin wonders if she can help out, and suggests that they rent a studio to take photos. But that reminds Gojo of the time they almost bumped bellies, and he begs Marin to let him see the studio before booking them, and Marin promises that she will. She then shows him pictures from her cosplay friend, Suzuka, of a studio that Marin is looking to rent, and Marin gushes over how Suzuka's melons look so plump in her pictures. Just then, Marin offers Gojo some of her pucky, but when he tells her that he would like one, she puts one in her mouth and tempts him to take a bite and slowly get closer to her juicy lips. It causes Gojo's brain to malfunction, and Marin quickly tells him that she is joking, which he is relieved to hear. Then, while Gojo continues watching the show to get inspiration from, Marin feels fuzzy inside seeing him so invested. Suddenly, Noah pops up on the stairs, looking for Marin, and scolds Marin for now answering her texts. When she spots Gojo, she greets him and expresses how angry she is that Marin forgot to discuss their Halloween plans. To apologize, Marin feeds her some Pocky, which gets Noah's forgiveness, and they head to the cafeteria to discuss Halloween plans. But before leaving, Noah glances at Gojo watching the show, and wonders what his relationship with Marin really is. Then, on the weekend, Marin rides the train anxiously after Gojo invited her to come to his place, which she is excited about. While looking at the invitation text, she realizes that it's the first time Gojo has ever invited her to his place, and her mind wanders to possibly getting a home date or getting herself filled like a jelly donut. However, when she gets there, to her disappointment, she finds Gojo all gloomy after he failed in creating the costume perfectly according to the anime. Meanwhile, Marin is more disappointed that they're not having a home date, but quickly brushes it off so Gojo won't find out. Gojo then shows Marin how the bunny costume refuses to stay put on the melon section, which makes Gojo feel depressed about his own abilities. Marin suggests that they use alternatives like putting clear straps to prevent the top from falling, but Gojo feels that it will lose the charm of the costume, as it won't have the same effect as it did in the anime. Marin then suggests using a clip to make sure it stays skin tight, and while Gojo agrees, he's frustrated over it. So Marin decides that for now, they will use straps and urges Gojo they go buy some in that very moment, refusing to wait another second. Once they get to the material store, Gojo asks an old employee there for the clear straps and shows him the design he's creating. When the old man sees the bunny girl design, he is in shock and assumes that Gojo himself will be wearing them. But when the old prune sees the clear and honest light glimmering from Gojo's eyes, he can't help but wanting to help him out. not caring that this dude will be rocking a bunny outfit. Suddenly, Marin pops up from the bathroom and talks about how she's excited to wear the suit. And in that moment, the old man apologizes profusely. After clearing things up, they look for the straps, but the old man informs the duo that there is a way to secure the costume's top without clear straps, and it surprises the duo to hear that. The old man draws on the design and shows Gojo that, just like corsets, they can use bonings in the costume to prevent the top from falling. When hearing that, Marin asks the old man if using bonings would mean her top won't fall off, and when the old man assures her that it won't, Marin gets depressed, knowing that she won't get the chance to accidentally get her pepperonis out in front of Gojo. When they think it through, Gojo still can't believe he didn't think of using bonings, and the old man tells him that he was simply thinking too narrowly. Gojo gets depressed after hearing that, realizing that he got too confident lately, that he got too sloppy. But the old man drops a gold nugget and tells Gojo that mistakes are simply a part of the process. After getting the bonings, they get the costume done, and Marin is excited to see it. Gojo asks Marin to try it on, and she's more than happy to do it, but in the middle of changing, she finds an issue. Gojo barges inside after hearing that, but to his shock, he walks into Marin in the middle of changing and sees her purple lace sticking out of the costume. Before he gets to paint his pants white, he shuts the door, and Marin apologizes while telling him that since the costume is designed that way, her plot cover can be seen. So she asks Gojo for a way out to prevent herself from going commando. But Gojo is tweaking on the other side of the door, trying to prevent his Slim Jim from becoming fat. Some days later, they meet up and go to the studio for the photoshoot. And to their amazement, the studio has multiple aesthetics fitting for different needs, which Marin is excited about. Marin then goes to change into her costume, and when Gojo looks around, he fully understands how cosplayers need the perfect background, which reminds him of how Hina dolls also need the perfect props to accompany them. Just then, Marin pops out to ask him if he still hates high-cut clothing, reminding him how much he hated it. But Gojo assures her that the only thing that hates those clothes are the tissues and Vaseline in his bedroom.
You naughty.
Moments later, Marin pops out in her full Alice costume, and while she's extremely excited with how good her costume looks from top to bottom, Gojo has already creamed when he saw the bottom, high-cut part of the costume. He asks her if she's not planning to take care of the exposed part, but Marin shows him that she's actually wearing skin-colored tights to make it seem like she's wearing nothing but her smoother-than-butter legs. But to Gojo, his hormones and his massive golden pickle, all they see is Marin looking like a total snack that will make him sin. Then, they start taking pictures, and while Marin is flawlessly posing for the camera, Gojo is having trouble keeping the camera straight while his Mr. Twinkie is begging to get out. Then, Marin moves on to a different section of the studio, and Gojo completely folds when he sees Marin in front of him with her rice cakes directly in his line of sight. Gojo quickly calls for a break, trying to get a breather from all the cream he released simultaneously. Marin pops up to tell him that while she does love Alice's design, she prefers another character's design in terms of stockings, and Gojo tells her that he never paid attention to the other characters. When she hears that, she quickly shows Gojo pictures of stockings she would love to wear, but Gojo completely freezes, questioning why Marin has a gooning-worthy folder filled with pictures of cheeks. It gives Marin an idea to create her version of a bunny outfit for Halloween, and it reminds Marin that the Halloween party is coming up, and she wants Gojo to join her to hang out with her friends. Then, at the Halloween party, everyone wears costumes, takes pictures, and enjoys their time. They end the night at the karaoke with Marin's friends, who consist of Noah, Kensei, Shiki, Ru, Dea. But while they all wear anime costumes, Gojo wears a full bear costume. The girls talk about how happy they are that the boys are with them, as Marin gets hit on a lot. Just then, Marin offers Gojo to sing a song or get himself a Halloween photo. But he rejects all of her offers, as deep down, Gojo feels anxious and wonders whether it's okay for him to tag along with their friend group. Suddenly, Marin's friends switch their attention to Gojo and ask him if he made all of Marin's costumes. When he tells them that he does the costumes and the makeup, one of the guy friends, Kensei, asks Gojo why a man like him knows how to do makeup. His question hits Gojo where it hurts, reminding him of how his childhood friend called him a freak for being a boy who likes dolls. But before Gojo gets ought say anything, Shiki tells Kensei that it's normal for guys to know makeup, as his older brother goes to makeup classes. Marin tells everyone that Gojo knows his makeup because he owns a Hina doll shop. And while Gojo doesn't want her to reveal that, Kensei expresses how cool it is that he has that shop, as he once visited it and was amazed. In that moment, Gojo wonders why nobody calls him a creep for liking Hina dolls, and he realizes that the only person who ever called him a creep for liking dolls was his childhood friend. It gives him a moment of silence, a realization that maybe he is quite normal. Suddenly, Noah shouts, asking Gojo if he's dating Marin, which shocks him. It also surprised everyone to hear that sudden question from Noah, but they all agreed that they are curious about the relationship between Marin and Gojo. They bring up a rumor about how Gojo and Marin went to a summer festival together, and Marin bluntly reveals that they did go together, just because they wanted to. It raises everyone's suspicion even more, and Gojo quickly informs them all that he and Marin are not dating. Being drenched in spilled tea, Gojo and Marin get out of the room and walk past more of Marin's friends. But after they leave, everyone in the karaoke room agrees that Marin and Gojo would be perfect for each other. While cleaning his shirt, Gojo thinks to himself how an ugly bum like him should never date someone as spectacular as Marin. Meanwhile, outside the bathroom, Marin, while cleaning Gojo's bunny helmet, is completely heartbroken after hearing how much Gojo is against the idea of them dating, which makes her feel that Gojo doesn't like her at all. Just then, two hot-looking dudes confront Marin and ask her to talk with them. When Gojo exits the bathroom, he's confused about where Marin has gone, and he finds her looking uncomfortable in front of the two dudes. He recalls how Marin gets flirted with a lot whenever her friends are not with them, and realizes he needs to do something before his baby mama gets taken away. Suddenly, the blonde guy almost touches Marin, and Gojo quickly catches his hand to stop him from touching Marin. He quickly offers himself to the dude, saying that he can clap his cheeks as long as they leave Marin alone. Just then, the black-haired dude tells Blondie that he thinks Marin is getting hit on, which she's not. The Blondie quickly shows his disgust, and Gojo realizes that the two dudes are Marin's friends. Marin introduces them to Gojo as her hairstylists, who scold her a lot for not taking care of her beauty. The blonde one, Kikuchi, starts yapping at Marin about how she ruined her hair and is not taking care of it, while the other one, Heisukawa, is just sealing and teases Kikuchi for being too strict. All the while, Gojo is off to the side, realizing that he made himself look like an absolute imbecile. Afterward, Gojo is cringing at his own actions, while Marin is trying to cheer him up, saying that cringy things happen. Just then, she suddenly realizes that what Gojo tried to do was save and protect her. While Gojo is still wearing the mask, Marin secretly kisses him from the side as a sign of her love. But Gojo gets scared by it. He starts panicking, asking Marin whether she's angry at him, and when she asks his reasoning, he tells her that he heard her click his tongue in frustration. Marin assures him she's not upset, but when he asks her what she just did with his mask, she refuses to answer his question and quickly walks away without saying a thing. The next day, after the Halloween party, the teacher announces that Marin is absent because she called the teacher while being extremely sick and asked for the day off. While the class is ongoing, Gojo secretly texts her, asking if she's okay, but Marin doesn't respond. For hours, he waits for her to give him an update on her condition, but when she doesn't respond to his texts, Gojo grows anxious and decides to go to her place. Then, he rings the bell, and Marin, while weak, opens the door for him. She asks him if school is out, and he informs her that after he imagined how she probably doesn't have food and medicine, Gojo faked being sick and went to Marin to nurse her back to health. When Marin hears that, she faints and Gojo is forced to carry her inside. He asks her to change her clothes, and she tells him that her clothes are in her basket, but Gojo, being a total wimp, is scared of what freaky clothing she might have. So he approaches the basket carefully. He finds her a sweater with a girl making the same face as your mom's made last night.
Me personally, I wouldn't take this level of disrespect.
And opts for a different sweater for Marin. Then, while she changes clothes, Gojo cooks for her like a caring husband and brings her a hot bowl of porridge. He starts spoon-feeding her the porridge, blowing on it so it won't be too hot, just so his precious Marin can eat. Suddenly, Marin starts crying, expressing how she thought she was going to die for not having any food or medicine, and Gojo calmly accepts all of her tears. She asks for more food, so Gojo feeds her more. and Gojo can only smile seeing her eating while crying. Then, he gives her medicine and tells her to go to sleep. But as he's about to leave, she holds his sweater, stopping him from leaving. Gojo sits back down, and she thanks him. Then, while she's trying to sleep, Gojo stays there beside her, accompanying her until she falls asleep. Hours later, Marin feels healthier with the fever gone, and suddenly, her doorbell rings, and all of her friends are there after school, all wanting to visit her. Gojo quickly panics, realizing that if her friends find him there, they will believe more that they are dating. He quickly runs off to hide in Marin's veranda, and while Marin doesn't see the issue of him being there, Gojo stays there until the friends go home, which ends with him getting sick. Some days later, after they are both healthy, they visit the aquarium for another cosplay event, and Marin is excited to see all the animals, so she starts running. Suddenly, she spots a cosplayer cosplaying a character she recognizes, Subaru, not the one who died a million times, but the Temu version, who is a space idol that gets clapped by her producer a lot. Marin starts admiring the cosplay, practically ogling over it, but quickly apologizes to the cosplayer. She asks the cosplayer what she's doing, and she tells Marin that she dropped her skirt's hook. Marin and Gojo quickly help her find it, and while she asks them not to bother, they kindly help her out and manage to find it. She introduces her cosplay name as Amain, and they introduce their names to each other. Marin asks Amain if they can take a picture together after this, and while she initially wants to, she rejects Marin's offer, as she feels that with her skirt ruined, she can't do her cosplay justice. That is when Gojo offers to fix her skirt for her, and pulls out his emergency sewing kit that he always brought, just in case Marin's costume needs it. However, they have difficulties with where Gojo can get privacy with Amain so he can sew her skirt, but Amain calmly tells him to use the men's room. Gojo scolds her for being a freak, but to their shock, Amain reveals that she's not a girl, but in fact a slim gym-packing dude.
What?
Then, while Gojo sews his skirt, Amain reapplies his makeup, and it amazes Gojo with how much he resembles a girl. He starts thinking about what he put on his makeup to look like that, and to his confusion, he spots a water glue in his pouch, and questions what he uses it for. Meanwhile, Marin is admiring the event when she runs into Suzuka, her photographer friend she made during her first cosplay. They greet each other, and Suzuka expresses how good Marin looks in her new Shizuku outfit. It surprises Marin to hear that Suzuka plays the Saint Slipper, which is the game where cute girls get clapped silly, and Suzuka tells her that ever since she first saw Marin's first Shizuku cosplay, Suzuka has been playing and gooning to the same every night. Suddenly, Suzuka remembers how much Marin is willing to stay true to her character, and when she asks Marin about it, Marin shows her the fake pickle she has. Later, they sit down with Amain, who tells them that it's his first cosplay event and thanks them for their help. Out of dying curiosity, Gojo asks him what he has in his bag that looks like water glue, and to their surprise, he reveals that it's actual glue. Marin asks him what he uses it for, and Amain shows them that he uses it to help attach his wig and bangs to his face, preventing them from ruining his look. He then tells them that he has multiple pictures that have him using glue to make himself perfect, and when he shows them the pictures, they are in awe at how cute he looks cosplaying girl characters. Suddenly, while looking through the pictures, Gojo starts panicking at one of them, his head malfunctioning at what he's looking at. When the others take a look, it's a picture of Amain carrying absolute cannons, and Gojo asks if Amain got a BBL on his chest. But instead of telling them, Amain simply says that anyone can equip them, and offers to show them how ought do it. While Gojo hesitates, Marin is excited to see some melons. So, Amain takes them to a cosplay specialty store, and there, he shows them a 2D equipable melons that cosplayers use that looks like a pair of cheeks. He tells them that using it is better to replicate the badonk kadonk seen in an anime, and Marin agrees after how she struggled to make her melons look like Shizuku's in the past. Amain adds that it's perfect to be used whenever they don't want to actually show off their melons, and she shows it by putting it on Gojo as an example. Seeing the twin puppies, Marin can't help but get excited, so she starts toying with them like any healthy woman. But Gojo quickly pulls away, embarrassed, as if it's his actual cannons.
I am a man.
Then, Amain shows them more of the cosplay tools, and both Marin and Gojo are in awe, seeing all the things they have never seen before. But what Gojo is more interested in is how Amain manages to turn himself from looking like a chopped, glizzy dangling dude into a cuter version of James Charles. Gojo adds that while he has experience in giving girls makeup to look like a boy, he doesn't know how to do the reverse. Amain starts by informing them of his tricks to change his eye shape to make it bigger, and he reveals that he does it by using eyeliner to make his eyes look sparkly. Then, he tells them to always get an orange concealer, saying it's extremely important, and when they ask him what he uses it for, he informs them that he uses it to cover the remaining hairs on his mustache and stubble, ensuring he looks like a baddie at all times. Marin acts quickly and gets them into her basket so she can buy them, and Gojo reflects on how truly fun it is for him to learn more about his craft from someone. Then, they walk around the aisle and Amain shows Gojo things he has never seen before, like sculptings to make weapons from, and pre-made wigs, which Gojo didn't know existed. Amain gives him a closer look by handing him his cosplay hair, and it amazes him with how easy it is. After hearing that, Amain expresses how the store they are in sells pre-made items like costumes, which makes it easier for people who don't have time, like him, to be able to live their passion and cosplay. Later, they take a picture together to commemorate their lovely meeting, and Marin is hyped that she gets to make more memories. Suddenly, her eye tape peels off, and she quickly gets Gojo to put more on her. But while at it, Amain watches them, in awe of their relationship. Just then, two other cosplayers pop up, recognizing Amain's cosplay, and ask for a picture together. Amain agrees to their request, but when he reveals to them that he's a glizzy gooning dude, they are in shock and get even more excited, seeing how a dude can look so cute in a cosplay, and both Marin and Gojo can relate to their excitement. Gojo volunteers to take their pictures, and Marin watches from afar, feeling warm and fuzzy inside about this whole experience. She joins in to take another picture, and it turns into a whole picture event, where other cosplayers join, and even a cameraman helps out, which creates a beautiful memory for all who are involved. Afterward, they go their separate ways, and Marin asks Amain how he turned into a cosplayer in the first place. He reflects on how his older sister was the first person who played around and put him in makeup and a wig, but when he first saw himself in the mirror, he didn't recognize himself and liked what he saw. He then continued cosplaying, getting praised by his open-minded family, while hiding the truth from people, as they all saw him as someone weak due to being short and skinny.
Damn!
But because of his cosplays, Amain grew more confident, and each cosplay was a step for him to become stronger and to slowly love himself more. But then, he suddenly got himself a girlfriend. But when she visited his place, she found the cosplay outfits and accused him of cheating on him with multiple different baddies. But when Amain managed to convince her that it was he who turned into a baddie and wore them, his girlfriend ordered him to throw all the clothes away and called him a creep, which is something Gojo can relate to. However, to Gojo's surprise, Amain informs him that he simply dumped the stupid hoe for her stupid request. Suddenly, Marin starts crying and expresses how hurt she is by hearing Amain's backstory and how dumb his ex was for hurting him like that. Amain assures Marin that he's not hurting anymore and expresses how he refused to throw all the clothes away, as deep down, it meant throwing out a part of himself that made him the strong person that he is today. He then adds how worried he was that Gojo might also think he was a creep. But Gojo assures him he will never think that, as deep down, he knows how Amain felt. Amain apologizes for assuming things and reflects on how happy he truly is to meet some wonderful people today, and that he shouldn't assume that other people will hurt him just because one person did. Afterward, they change into their regular looks and go their separate ways. But as Amain walks away, both Gojo and Marin can't help but admire how Amain is both cute and handsome. The next day, during lunch, Gojo tells his grandpa, Kaoru, that he will be leaving after lunch, and the old man sees him off, happy that his grandson has a good friend. He goes to one of Marin's photo shoots for a magazine, and there, he meets Marin's agent, and he points out how thick the jacket Marin is wearing. The agent informs him that agencies like theirs usually take pictures months in advance for their magazines, and they are currently preparing for winter. Gojo expresses just how much he's clueless about the modeling work, and it amazes him just how great Marin looks in all of the jackets. The agent adds to his compliment, saying that not only is Marin a total baddie, but everyone also loves her and loves to work with her because of her attitude. However, she doesn't understand why Marin has been working harder than before, but Gojo knows exactly why, and it's because Marin wants to buy a professional camera. Then, while watching Marin intensely, Gojo realizes how unlike the Marin he knows. There's another Marin that exists in the modeling world, one whom he has never known about. However, the agent tells Gojo that despite her popularity, Marin refuses to be their magazine's exclusive model because of her hobbies taking too much of her time. So the agent hopes that Gojo, as her boyfriend, can convince her to change her mind. But Gojo starts panicking, informing her that he's not Marin's girlfriend, and that their relationship is based solely on money. But hearing that, the agent thought that Marin is Gojo's sugar mommy who pays him to clap her boots off every night. Hours later, the photo shoot finishes, and they split up. But the more Gojo looks at her, the more he sees how different Marin is compared to the one he knows. Then, she informs her agent that she will be attending someone's birthday party after this, and knowing Marin's birthday, she suspects that it's Gojo's birthday they are celebrating, and that Gojo was too shy to reveal himself as Marin's lover. However, the agent is also mistaken, as the birthday they are celebrating turns out to be Shizuka's, just because Marin loves her so much. She starts to excitedly get freaky with a Shizuka body pillow, and bump bellies like rabbits with it. Meanwhile, Gojo is effing confused with what he's witnessing, but he realizes that the Marin who's currently in front of him is the one she is willing to show to only him, and he's happy about that, even though Marin does some freaky stuff. Days later, the class is preparing for the culture festival, and they decide that they will have a takoyaki Russian roulette. The teacher informs them to be in their best behavior to gain the most points, and when asked what the points are, the teacher reveals that the class that gains the most points during the festival will be crowned the best class in school. It fires up everyone as they all want to be at the top of the food chain, but suddenly, the teacher informs them that aside from their takoyaki roulette, there will also be a beauty contest, and the winner will get extra points for their class. Upon hearing that, all eyes are on Marin, and they all beg her to join, knowing she has the best chance to win the whole thing. Suddenly, the teacher informs them that for the beauty pageant, the girls have to dress up like boys, and vice versa, and hearing that, Marin gets very excited, realizing she gets to cosplay at school. Noah asks her who she's planning to cosplay as, and when she says that she wants to cosplay as Rei from a series called Prez Host, every girl there gets hyped, as they all know exactly which character she's referring to. The teacher then adds that Marin needs to prepare a performance to charm the audience. As she will be considered a boy, she needs to charm the female audience. Marin gets excited about the upcoming festival, but when she shares her excitement with Gojo, everyone is confused about why Gojo specifically. Noah reveals to them that Gojo is the mastermind behind Marin's cosplay, and Gojo is nervous seeing everyone staring at him. Later, Marin takes Gojo to watch the anime and the character she's portraying, Rei, who first met the main girl when he was starving, and got given bento by the girl. Then, they met again, but this time, Rei showed her true self as a girl, who dressed up as a man to work at host clubs for freaky old ladies who want to gobble glizzies. But deep down, Rei was a lonely orphan who craved the warmth of people, and he got it when he first met the main girl, whose cooking reminded Rei of her dead mother. Gojo cries while watching the series, and at school, he and Marin both show their excitement for the character and how they're going to bring her to life. They start by redesigning Marin's face to look like Rei, and Gojo presents to Marin his ideas to make it look as real as possible. Then, they discuss the rainbow rose, and while Marin wants to simply buy one, Gojo informs her that it will cost her a kidney, so they should get a white rose and spray paint it. Marin then suggests using insoles to make herself as tall as Rei, and use the same expensive fabric they used before on a previous cosplay. However, wanting to be as accurate as possible, Gojo suggests that they use a cheaper fabric, as the character they are cosplaying is as broke as my next door hobo. Then, Gojo realizes that for hosts, their costumes and build are very slim. But because Marin is so thick and juicy, her curves will pop up in the costume, so Gojo starts thinking hard about how to counter that. In that moment, Marin realizes that Gojo knows all of her measurements from her melons to her sweet cheeks, and it makes Marin feel a bit naughty. Flustered, she changes the topic and assures Gojo that they still have time to make the costume in time. But Gojo delivers the bad news that since he will only be making her costume, he will still need to help the others with designing their classroom for the takoyaki event, and they both realize that they are screwed with what little time they have. Then, on their way to the class, Marin declares to Gojo that she will make the costume herself, and she shows him the materials she will need, and asks her to call him whenever she needs help. He asks her if she will be okay, and she half-heartedly assures him that she will. But deep down, apart from it being less fun, she feels nervous that Gojo is not by her side, but she looks in and goes to buy the materials. Meanwhile, Gojo is facing his own dilemma, realizing that he will face his old enemy of time management, knowing that it will drain him of all his energy. However, when he rejoins his classroom, every single one of his classmates is confused as to why he's there and asks him. He tells them that he's there to help them, but one by one, they all tell Gojo that he should focus on designing Marin's costume. He tries to convince them that he will be okay, but Shiki asks him to tell the truth, and Gojo admits that he's scared he might fail at helping with both tasks. They assure him that they can take care of business with the takoyaki event, while Gojo should focus on helping Marin win the beauty pageant. Just then, a classmate asks where Marin is, and when Gojo informs them that she's in the middle of buying materials, they all bark at Gojo, telling him that Marin is an idiot at buying materials and he needs to get to her quickly before she ruins her own costume. So, with his friend's support behind his back, Gojo runs to catch up to Marin, and they go to the material shop together. There, they meet the old man again, and he notices how Gojo looks livelier than before. After showing the old man the design they're making, the old prune gets to work and shows them the perfect material for their costume. And after a first glance at it, both Marin and Gojo approve it enthusiastically, and the old man wishes deep down that their costume will be a success. Later, they show the costume design to Kaoru, and he's thoroughly impressed by how it's only the two of them working on it, considering how Hina dolls need tasks to be divided. It surprises Marin to hear that, and in Sesame Street style, he explains that from the costumes to the face, it takes 10 people to make one doll, and it even takes different people just to draw the face. Curious, she asks how many dolls they put makeup on in a day, and they tell her about 300. That shocks her, thinking they're doing like 10 a day, but Gojo and his grandpa laugh, saying how that's too slow, while Marin is in awe, realizing that these dudes are genuinely cracked at what they do. Kaoru adds that making dolls is never a one-person job, and they need to rely on others to work, even though it's sometimes hard to ask for help. Then, Marin is getting more rice when she overhears how Kaoru is worried that Gojo might be overworking until the festival, and in that moment, Marin decides to do something for him. The next morning, Gojo arrives at school early to start building the costume, but unbeknownst to him, Marin is there, closely watching. She pops inside the room in excitement and shyly tells Gojo that she made lunch for him. In that moment, Gojo feels that his life is threatened, knowing how Marin only cooks greasy food like fried rice, but when he asks her what she made, she teasingly tells him to wait for lunchtime. Because of that, Gojo is unable to focus, worrying about lunchtime to come, thinking about what his bowels might have to face. Then, lunchtime arrives, and Gojo has fully accepted befriending his toilet. But to his surprise, Marin pulls out from her bag 2 healthy, nutritious Spam rice ball sandwiches. Seeing that, Gojo starts thanking the anime gods, and expresses his utmost gratitude to Marin. But hearing his compliments, Marin gets so happy that manga panels of this scene show up, and Marin promises to keep making lunch for him in the future. However, Gojo quickly realizes that the rice balls are heavy, and for the next few days, Marin keeps bringing him food, from the same rice balls to the greasy fried food that has cholesterol as its middle name, but Gojo eats all of them. Back home, Gojo eats his fish and vegetables quietly, slowly appreciating homemade food more than ever before. The next day, they find out through an announcement that Marin will only have 1 minute to win over the audience as Rei, the character she's cosplaying, so she and the girls start brainstorming about what Marin should do on stage, and after watching an example of host clubs, they decide that Marin should do the champagne call. However, they realize that they need to shorten the gag, so Marin starts shortening the part. During the girls' whole conversation about how hot men like Rei and hosts clubs are, Gojo can't help but listen in on their conversation, and accidentally expresses how he understands their love for Rei. That turns the girls' attention to Gojo, seeing how a dude like him understands their degenerate love for cute-looking dudes, and he gets cornered by their attention. Suddenly, Marin has an idea, and she starts acting like a host to Gojo, offering him some champagne, which makes him both uncomfortable and question his own taste in women. Noah also gets an idea and joins in the act, sandwiching Gojo in the middle of two girls offering him service that any man would enjoy. Just then, Shiki pops up, stopping their act, and he calls out for Gojo and some of the girls to help out with the interior designing, leaving Marin alone in the room to her own company. Being by herself, Marin gets intrusive thoughts of wanting to help Gojo with the costume designing, so she picks up a button and does something with it while nobody is there. When Gojo returns, she quickly hides it, and Gojo asks her to come with the others as she's needed there. She gladly leaves the room and apologizes to Gojo for what she just did, promising that she will fix it for him. When Gojo looks at what she did, he can only smile, seeing her horrific attempt to sew a button to her costume, but he appreciates it anyway. Days later, Gojo is still stuck in his thought, wondering how he can turn Marin from the jolly, feminine girl into a masculine, Sigma man that is expected of her. At school, Marin takes off her uniform to try out the compression suits bought to decrease her creamy curves, and the girls are in awe seeing how she lost all of her plots because of the compression suit. Then, she puts on the suit Gojo has crafted for her, and when she shows it off to her friends, they are all in awe at how good it looks on her. However, while the other praises her for looking like Rei, Gojo is still unsatisfied with how inaccurate she looks as a man, and realizes one minor mistake. He calls out the suit for being too big, and Marin admits that it is too big due to the compression suits. It makes Gojo uneasy seeing her less than perfect, so he promises to get it right before the festival, and while Marin is worried for him, he assures her that he will get it right, which Marin chooses to trust. Just then, inspired by their meeting with Amain and how feminine he is, Gojo tells Marin that he wants to try something to make her look more masculine. The others ask them who Amain is, and when they show them the picture, they are in awe of how cute he is that even Kensei wants to clap.
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
But when it's revealed that Amain is a dude, Kensei gets depressed, knowing that Amain has a glizzy underneath. At that moment, Gojo recalls how Kaoru told him to learn how to rely on others, so he gathers his bravery and approaches Kensei. He tells Kensei that because he moves the most manly out of all of them, he wants him to model for Marin to teach her how to be more manly. Then, they start the learning process, and in just a few tweaks that Marin copies from Kensei, the others are pleasantly surprised by how big of a difference it makes, which makes Marin look even better. Just then, another classmate, Takeru, comes to visit and hands out drinks to Gojo and Marin for their hard work. He calls out a fellow classmate, Kuki, to come inside, and he walks in feeling embarrassed, as he's a dude who likes watching the same series the girls are watching. But like a true Chad, Gojo expresses how nothing is embarrassing about loving what he loves, and it switches a switch inside Kuki. He approaches Gojo, feeling relieved, and asks for a picture with the costume he made to show off to her sister. When he does so, he only takes a picture of Marin's costume, which annoys Marin, all the while Gojo watches from a distance, proud of what he accomplished. Days later, they get closer to the festival, and it's time for Gojo and Marin to create the rainbow rose for the cosplay. But after their first attempt, the rose ends up looking horrible due to the mix of colors not matching. Marin suggests they get the real one, but Gojo refuses, as it costs a fortune to buy one. Just then, Marin's friends, Karen and Sarah, pop up to check on them, but get disappointed when they see that Marin is not in costume, especially after how Noah boasted about how amazing she looked. Seeing Gojo, Karen praises him for his good work and notices the failed rainbow rose in his hand. They discuss what can be done about it, but suddenly, Sarah cheerfully states that she can make one if they want, and they beg her to teach them. She tells them to wait for her in the chemistry room while she buys the ingredients, and once she returns, they are curious when they see that she's carrying a real rose. Then, she shows them how to make one by cutting the stem into 4 parts and dipping each stem in different colors, so they can absorb the color and turn the rose into a rainbow rose. She tells them it will be ready by tomorrow, and when asked how she knows how to make one, she reveals that she made one during a research project. Gojo thanks her frantically, revealing that he was planning to paint each petal if she didn't help her, and Sarah expresses how happy she is that people can depend on her. That makes Gojo realize something, and back home, his grandpa tells him and Marin that he has cooked dinner for them, as he knows how tough it is to prepare for the festival. Seeing that, Gojo realizes that his fear of asking others for help is not good for himself, as he now sees that other people do enjoy being relied on. Then, the day of the festival arrives, and while Gojo's class starts off strong with their visitors, Takeru and Kensei are frustrated that their class is falling behind against Class 3. Just then, Shiki pops up to call them to get back to work. But he also brings some food for Gojo to eat, knowing that he hasn't eaten for the whole day. Takeru asks for an update, and while Shiki informs him that their class is falling behind even more, Shiki still has the fighting spirit within him, and the others join him, refusing to give up. All the while Gojo is confused by their determination. Then, the others leave, and when Gojo thanks Shiki for the food, he simply waves at him, acknowledging his appreciation. Gojo expresses his worries for the others, but Marin assures him that they will be fine, as she herself is confident that she will get first place in the beauty pageant. She expresses how, just like Rei, who always fought to make others' dreams come true, Marin wants to be just like Rei and win for her classmates to fulfill their expectations. Marin truly believes that with Gojo by her side, there is no other path for them but victory, and Gojo is in awe of her determination. The next day, Marin visits Gojo and gets excited when she sees that Rei's costume is ready, and Gojo urges Marin that they start on the makeup right away, as he knows that he would feel nervous if others watch him do it. But just as he's preparing to do Marin's makeup, starting from Noah, other people start popping in, all excited and curious to see Gojo do Marin's makeup, as they all know that doing a cosplay makeup is way more magical than a regular makeup. While they watch him with full expectations, Gojo can feel the heat of pressure on his shoulder, and he drops the wig out of nervousness. He starts feeling his own heart beating faster, his sweat dripping harder, and his blood pumping hotter as he realizes that every single person in that room is counting on him to do his absolute best. And if he fails, it will all be over. Suddenly, Marin calls out to him to ask if he's okay, and that wakes him up and his hidden fire. He takes off his sweater, puts on his headband, and locks in like Johnny Sins before an hour shoot. With flair and precision, he begins putting the makeup on Marin, and in his own head, he realizes that despite the praises he got, he never wanted to become the best at what he does until this moment. With a fire in his soul and the expectations of everyone, he mentally declares to himself that he will get them their victory with his own two hands. Hours later, the beauty pageant is underway, and the host calls for Marin to step forward, while Gojo and the others watch. The second she steps on the stage and presents herself to everyone, all the girls there gasp and scream, seeing their favorite idol, Rei, in the flesh. Even the female host is blushing, and she can feel her flower juicing up at the sight of Rei's beauty. Meanwhile, Gojo is unable to look away from her, seeing and wondering how or why Marin shines so bright, and it makes him feel the same way he felt when he first saw the Hina dolls, as he now sees how truly beautiful Marin is at her best. The hosts ask Marin which part the audience should pay attention to, and she loudly tells them that her best part is the costume that Gojo made for her, and hearing that, Gojo gets emotional. Then, it's time for Marin to charm the crowd, and she signals for the lights to turn off, and when they turn back on, Marin has fully entered the zone. In full character, and with the others' support, Marin speaks and dances to the audience like she's the character, Rei, and the others can only watch in awe. But for the closing act, she sings and pulls the female host into her arms, before fully rizzing her up like a princess in a way that any woman would start dripping in their sauce.
What do you mean by that?
Everyone cheers for the performance, and it gets Marin and her class the victory in the festival due to the points they win. The whole class congratulates and crowds around Marin and Gojo, who feel nervous with all the attention. Shiki then tells them that he has booked a karaoke for their after party, and when Takeru asks if he will come, Gojo doesn't feel like he deserves to be there, saying that the class and Marin were the ones who got the victory. But Takeru disagrees and claims that without Gojo being there, the after-party will be missing him, the star of the show. The others jump in to agree with what he says, and Gojo blushes before agreeing to come. Then, Gojo spends a few hours with everyone at the karaoke, who keep asking him questions and complimenting his work. But being overwhelmed, Gojo takes a break outside. Suddenly, Marin shows up, worried that he had gone home, but when he tells her that he was taking a break, she feels relieved and sits next to him. They talk about how they managed to get through the exhausting festival, and Gojo points out how genius it is for Marin to pull the female host onto her waist to charm her. Marin informs her that girls feel all bubbly inside when their waists are held by a man. But that reminds her of their love hotel incident, and Marin gets a freaky flashback. Just then, Gojo sees that the place has an arcade, so the two of them go there, where, after a countless number of attempts, Gojo wins Marin a doll, one that she holds close and promises to cherish forever. Suddenly, she notices a photo booth and realizes that she has never taken a picture with just Gojo. While nervous, she asks Gojo if he's willing to take a picture with her together, but Kensei pops up and agrees to the picture, which ruins her chance for a picture with Gojo. He calls out the homies about taking a picture, and all of them say that they never tried it, so they tell Gojo that they should go in together. It leaves Marin alone and heartbroken. All the while Gojo and the homies have a blast taking pictures together. Some days later, Marin is getting her hair done at the salon, and she enthusiastically shows her salon friends the plushies and gifts Gojo gave her. Aizawa asks her what Gojo looks like, and she gladly shows her his picture, calling him the hottest man who's packing a massive glizzy. Kikuchi expresses how jealous he is that Marin found himself a man, and that he wants one too. And the others tell him to go full James Charles if he ever wants to get clapped by a dude on a date. Then, while doing the finishing touches, Heisukawa notices something off about Marin and tells her that she has gained weight. That surprises her, and Kikuchi warns her about it, considering her job as a model. But when Aizawa takes a look, she doesn't see the weight gain, so Marin breathes easily. Then, after a modeling shoot, Marin continues to enthusiastically tell people about the plushie Gojo presented to her, and they all feel happy for Marin. Just then, their manager pops up and praises a fellow model, Sasaki, for looking amazing during today's shoot. Marin shares that she feels the same way, praising Sasaki for looking fabulous, and Sasaki blushes heavily. Marin's confused with what just happened, and their stylist, Mizuno, informs Marin that Sasaki just recently got a boyfriend, and he clapped her hard, hence why she's happy. Sasaki apologizes for being too embarrassed to tell Marin, and Marin wants to see what this dude looks like. Sasaki shows Marin a picture, and they all agree that the dude looks like a total nice guy and is perfect for Sasaki. Mizuno states that having a lover is good for models like them, as long as it makes them happier, as it can affect how they look. Just then, the manager calls Marin's name, and Marin fully expects to get praised like Sasaki for looking amazing in this shoot. But to their surprise, the manager tells Marin she has gained weight. The mood turns sour, and the manager warns Marin that if she turns into Jabba the Hutt before their summer shoot, she will face consequences. On her way home, Marin is in disbelief, refusing to acknowledge that she has gained weight. But when she touches her belly, she feels it. She rushes back home, goes to her room, grabs her cosplays, and realizes that when she wears them, they feel tighter around her body. But in her Veronica costume, she feels fine, seeing that her melons are plump as usual. But suddenly, she notices her belly popping out, realizing that she indeed has gained weight. Days later, she tells her friends about it, and while some don't see the weight gain, Noah informs her that she did notice a little pouch on her belly during her Rei cosplay. Marin shakes Noah for not telling her sooner, and she realizes that she has been fat for a long time. In that moment, Marin is confused, questioning what caused her weight gain. She knows and tracks every single thing she eats, and is sure that it shouldn't make her fat. She goes to Gojo's place anyway for her usual dinner, and when she steps inside, she is greeted by Gojo and his grandpa, sees the food that is ready, and she joins them in the warm futon. After they finish eating, Marin washes dishes, but Gojo tells her she can go home. He offers to walk her to the station, but she assures him she'll be okay by herself. He then hands her some leftover food to bring home and tells her to eat it for breakfast. Then, on her walk home, she looks inside and drools when she sees Gojo has made her rice bowls and omelets. She declares that she will eat it that night, but in that moment, Marin finally realizes the reason why she gained weight. The next day, she tells Gojo about her weight gain, which surprises him cause he doesn't notice any weight gain, but the ones on her melons. She then feels guilty and informs him that the clothes he made her wear don't fit anymore, and apologizes for it. But when he doesn't get angry, Marin is surprised. and he simply says that they can readjust the size. But after seeing how kind he is, she promises that she will lose weight. Then, Gojo starts thinking about how cosplayers tend to have a diet, and it makes no sense for Marin to gain weight with the food she eats. He asks her how it happened, and Marin stays silent, embarrassed about speaking the truth. But after prodding her some more, she admits that she has been eating the leftovers he gave her, and he changes his tune and stares daggers at her. He then asks her what she usually eats for breakfast, and when she tells him she has been eating bento for breakfast, Gojo starts calculating just how many calories Marin has been consuming from pigging out, and his dumb brain concludes that she's consuming 50,000 calories. But she assures him that she'll get back to normal, and instead invites her to shop with her later. The next day, Marin buys herself loose socks for a trend, and asks Gojo to help her stretch them like how he stretches your mom's, so he does it. Then, when she wears it, she gets hyped by how cute they are and asks Gojo to take a picture. He then pulls out his phone, but gets surprised when Marin hands him a real camera. He remembers how Marin wanted those cameras badly and was willing to book tons of jobs, and in that moment, he realizes that Marin has done what she said she would, and it scares him with how bold she is. Gojo then asks her why she chose that one specifically, and she reveals that days ago, she was discussing cameras with Shizuka when she spotted a camera with a name Kiss M. And being the simpleton, she says that the M stands for Marin, so she buys it, despite it costing her a kidney. Then, after studying the camera, Marin presents her new look to Gojo, and tells him that since she can't cosplay for a while, the new hair and socks must do. When Gojo takes a picture of her, he is in awe of how clear and beautiful the quality is, and she gets excited about using the camera, which pleases Marin. Then, while Marin walks and talks around, Gojo follows and takes candid pictures after candid pictures of her, and every single one of them looks gorgeous. After getting the pictures, Marin informs him of an upcoming cosplay event and informs him that she will be there to see Amane and Suzuka. To her surprise, Gojo tells her he will also be there, and while she is excited to see him cosplay, he tells her that he's there for something else. He reveals that he gained interest in cosplay props after seeing a cool katana, and he contacted the katana's creator, Akira, and he makes plans to meet Akira there so he can ask him questions about making props. Hearing that he contacted Akira through Twitter, Marin asks Gojo to share his Twitter account with her, and when she gets it, she feels very pleased. Then, Gojo invites her to have dinner as usual, but Marin tells her that she has something else in mind. At Gojo's place, she takes a picture of Kaoru, and Kaoru feels honored to have his picture taken, but feels unworthy. However, Marin assures him that she purposefully wanted a picture of him. Weeks later, a cosplay event is held, and Marin and Gojo are there, but Marin goes to meet up with Suzuka and Amane, leaving Gojo alone for his meetup with Akira, whom he's excited to meet. Marin gets to meet Suzuka, who is excited for Marin getting a new camera, and is a fan of her impulsiveness in buying one. But Amane is not with them, and Marin wonders where he is, knowing it's unusual for him to be late. Unbeknownst to her, Amane is stuck getting his cosplay photos taken, as the second he arrived at the event, a dude asked for his picture, but when he agreed to it, a line of photographers formed, all wanting his picture. He worries that the others are waiting for him, but to his surprise, Marin pops up, also wanting to take a picture. Amane apologizes for what's happening, but Marin assures him it's fine, and that she's actually excited to see the cosplay Amane is wearing due to how amazing and quality it is. The two talk about the idol it's based on, and how Amane became a fan cause of her crudeness. Meanwhile, Suzuka, a true degenerate, is at the back, bamboozled by Amane's appearance, questioning both how a glizzy dangling dude can look so cute and her own preference in men, as she's about to bust seeing Amane's cross-dressing cosplay. Then, after talking about the line of people, Suzuka, being the veteran, teaches the rookies that they can simply stop the line from adding more people by asking a person to stand at the back of the line to inform people that the cosplayer is not taking more pictures. Suzuka demonstrates by doing that herself, and Amane thanks her as a lifesaver. Then, Suzuka asks Marin what pose she wanted to take of him, and she asks for a specific pose from the idol. So they start taking pictures, and one by one, the line of people decreases until there's none. Then, Suzuka tells them that she's waiting for two of her friends, one is a cosplayer and one is a prop master. She introduces them to her cosplayer friend, the extremely handsome-looking Miyako, who turns out to be a cross-dressing girl. Marin stars ogling her for cosplaying the budget slam dunk, and Miyako is pleased to see that there are people who still watch the old anime she watches. Marin admires her chiseled looks, but Miyako informs him that it's all makeup that made her look manly, and Amain can relate to what she's saying as a fellow cross-dresser. Marin then goes to take pictures of Miyako, which she truly treasures, but when Suzuka also takes pictures, she goes low to take them, which piques Marin's interest. Suzuka then teaches her rookie photographer friend that taking them from their eyeline makes the person look flat, but when she takes them from a low angle, it shows a more powerful, dominant stance. She then adds that she also took Amain's pictures from above, so he will look cuter from a close-up, and hearing all of that information, Marin feels excited about learning more about photography. Just then, Miyako suggests that they should all hang out together after the event with their prop master friend, which they all agree to. Meanwhile, Gojo is jumping around out of excitement to meet the dragon jacket wearing prop master dude, Akira, but to his surprise, the dragon jacket dude turns out to be a chick, and Akira herself is surprised to find out that Gojo is a dude and not a woman. They both apologize to each other for mistaking each other's gender, and Akira asks Gojo where he got his cosplay name from. To her surprise, it's his real name, and not some white-haired domain expander. She also tells him that Akira is her real name, and not some dude riding a motorcycle. Gojo then asks her about her hooded cosplay with the katana, but to his confusion, she reveals that it's an original character, which is a character that comes from Akira's own vision, and not a pre-existing character. Gojo praises and expresses how cool he thinks Akira's cosplay is, but Akira shuts him down, saying that her cosplay is bang average and nothing to be praised for. However, Gojo refuses to let her talk down on herself, and tells her that the reason he wanted to talk to her in the first place was because he found her cosplay to be amazing. He quickly apologizes for being forward, but Akira giggles and thanks Gojo for the compliment. She then asks what he wants to know about prop making, but just as Gojo pulls out his list of questions, Marin calls him, informing him that she and Suzuka are coming to him. Gojo tells Akira that he's there with a friend, and she assures him that it's fine if they meet up with them. But then, when Marin pops up above them, Akira stares daggers at her, as if seeing something so revolting that her soul trembles. Marin runs to him to inform him that they're invited to an after-party, and Gojo introduces Marin to Akira. But while Marin greets her warmly, Akira does the opposite and does it coldly. When Suzuka appears, she's surprised to see that her friend, Akira, is the person meeting Marin's friend, and when she looks at Gojo closely, she feels joy to see such a healthy stud in front of her. But while Marin is distracted, Suzuka texts Miyako about an emergency, knowing how Akira feels about Marin. Later, they all hang out at a restaurant, where both Miyako and Amain are out of their costume, and back to their factory look. They talk about their cosplays, and Marin shows Gojo pictures of Miyako in her cosplay, and how Marin learned to use different angles for the pictures. While Marin is yapping along, Amain notices how Akira is reacting to her, realizing that something is off between her and Marin. Then, the food arrives, and Miyako pulls out a doll of her favorite character and starts talking to it. Watching that, Gojo feels happy to know that he's not the only person in the world who talks and goons to his dolls, which makes him feel accepted. Marin jumps in and tells them how she also has her favorite doll, but because it gets dirty easily, she keeps it beside her television. While taking a picture, Miyako gets a text that their friend, Aoi, can't come to their group cosplay next week. She and Miyako talk about how they already booked a studio for their coffin cosplay, and it's a shame if it's cancelled. Gojo asks what it is, and Marin explains that a coffin is when 6 cosplayers dress up like nuns and play Among Us, while taking cosplay pictures together. Interested, Amain offers to join them, and both Miyako and Suzuka cry tears of joy, approving his joining. Then, they realize that they need 3 more, and Amain suggests that Marin join. But in that moment, the tension rises, and both Miyako and Suzuka can feel the devastating aura coming out of Akira after hearing the invitation. Miyako and Suzuka encourage Marin to join, but she informs them that she's on a diet, and that she doesn't have time to make a nun costume. But to his joy, they tell her that they're buying pre-made costumes, and that it'll make them look more together during the cosplay. Marin looks to Gojo for his opinion, and when he encourages her to go, Marin smiles widely and declares that she's going, all the while Akira listens closely. But then, Marin has an idea to invite another cosplayer, and after getting their approval, she calls her old cosplayer friend, Sajina. When Sajina answers the call, the others are in shock to see that Marin actually knows the famous cosplayer Sajina. Marin asks her what she's up to, and Sajina tells her that she's shopping with her family. Marin then informs Sajina about how she made new cosplayer friends and the game of Coffin. Sajina recognizes the game and how much her sister, Shinju, loves it. After hearing that, Marin, while excited, invites Sajina to join, but Sajina quickly and coldly rejects her, saying that she only cosplays for herself and has no interest in making cosplayer friends. Sajina hangs up the phone just as Shinju pops up to ask her who she was talking to. When Sajina mentions Marin, Shinju feels happy to know that her sister is still keeping in contact with a friend. Then, Sajina mentions how Marin invited her to partake in a coffin cosplay, and Shinju starts glowing in excitement, wanting to be there to see her beloved sister playing coffin and cosplay as one of the nuns. But when Sajina reveals that she rejected the invitation, Shinju's face drops, showing how sad she is that Sajina rejected it. But Sajina can't take seeing her sister's sad face, so she shamefully calls Marin back and accepts the invitation. Moments later, the sisters show up at the cafe, shocking Suzuka and Miyako, who are big fans of Sajina's work and never expected someone as cute as her to actually exist. All the while Marin and Shinju both gush over Sajina getting praised. Being curious, Miyako goes to check Sajina's follower numbers, and is in shock to see that over 200,000 people follow her. Miyako gives credit to her Black Lily cosplay she did a while back, and when Sajina informs them that Gojo made the outfit, Akira is in awe. She then praises the professional who took her pictures, expressing how that person truly loves Sajina so much that they are capable of always taking the most beautiful parts of her. But then, she notices Shinju heavily flustered and realizes that her own little sister was the one taking it. Miyako then switches her attention to Shinju and asks if she does her own cosplays, and to her surprise, Shinju says she doesn't, and that she merely enjoys taking pictures of her cute sister. Miyako glares at her for a moment, which confuses Shinju, and Miyako bluntly offers her to play the lead protagonist of their upcoming coffin cosplay. Shinju is shocked by that suggestion, but both Marin and Miyako think it's a brilliant idea considering her voluptuous proportions. While Shinju does love the character, she feels that she's too tall, but Miyako assures her that she'll handle it. With Shinju joining the coffin game, they have all the people they need, but Gojo, while not involved, says that he wants to help them out, and Miyako tells him that they will need props for the day of the cosplay, as they will do the terrifying dinner scene. Then, because Gojo has never played the game before, Marin suggests that he come to her place later, and to his horror, Marin says that the game can be finished in 7 hours, but Gojo's relieved that the day after is Sunday. But then, Suzuka asks Gojo to tell her what his experience with the game is like, as she loves it when people talk to her about it. Meanwhile, Sajina is deep in her own thoughts, thinking intensely about something, and he suddenly gets up like she's about to smack someone, but only to go to the restroom instead. The others do the same, while Akira and Amain take a smoke break together. Just then, Marin reveals that she cosplayed Rei from Projost, and both Miyako and Suzuka go berserk, scolding Marin for not telling them that sooner and demanding that she show them pictures of the cosplay. When Marin informs them that she didn't get to take pictures, Suzuka completely collapses, hearing that and needing Miyako to hold on to her. But then, Miyako asks her which outfit of Rei she cosplayed, and when she tells her it's the famous bento scene one, she crumbles at the realization of how she missed out on seeing one of the greatest cosplays in human history, and she curses the anime gods for making her a side character in this anime. Meanwhile, Akira and Amain are on their smoke break, bonding over how their surroundings are not supportive of their love and passions for anime and cosplay. Just then, Akira notices that Amain isn't smoking, and to her surprise, Amain tells her that he doesn't smoke and is with her for a different purpose. He then asks Akane straightforwardly why she doesn't like Marin. He points out how obvious it is, considering that Akane doesn't talk or smile whenever Marin is around, and Akira can only stay silent, proving the suspicion to be true. Suddenly, Gojo pops up, surprising them, and he apologizes for eavesdropping and says that he was passing by. He joins them to ask about the truth, so Akira faces him, and while nervous, she admits that she doesn't want to talk, bond, or even be around Marin. But the reason why has to wait for the next parts of this video.
Come on, man.
Meanwhile, Sajina is heading back to the others, realizing that a scaredy cat like her shouldn't have accepted the game of coffin, and that she should cancel. But when Shinju greets her with a bright smile on her face, one that shows how excited she is for the coffin cosplay, Sajina chooses to suck it up for her sister. Afterward, Gojo visits Marin's place to play coffin, and she shows him the video game to help him gain inspiration for the props he's going to make. She asks him if it's okay for him to go home late, and Gojo informs him that his grandpa is away at his cousin's place to take care of some doll business, giving Gojo some freedom by himself. Marin is thrilled to hear that, telling him that he can head home late, and even suggesting that he stay the night to clap some cheeks. But she quickly says it's a joke, annoying Gojo. Then, Gojo plays the game, and is introduced by Marin to the characters in the game that she and the other will be cosplaying. Gojo enjoys playing peaceful games like Coffin, and can't see how Marin and the others see it as a horror game. But Marin chooses to stay quiet to let him experience the whole thing. Marin then tries out her nun cosplay, which fits her perfectly, and she's happy that she doesn't have to go on a diet for this cosplay. Just then, Gojo notices the time and says that he needs to go home, which Marin is against, wanting him to go home even later. But then, he checks and sees the news that the train station has stopped working after 10 dudes were arrested gooning and painting the whole train station white. Seeing this issue, Marin sees her shot and takes it by offering for Gojo to stay the night. Gojo starts tweaking, knowing how dangerous it can be to let his Slim Jim anywhere near Marin's sweet cheeks. But Marin assures him that instead of letting him walk home and get sick, he should stay at her place. Gojo rationalizes what she's saying, and convinces himself that he shouldn't get sick to avoid worrying his grandpa, so he chooses to accept. They then leave to go shopping for Gojo's night stay, buying food for breakfast and sopas. But on his search, Gojo finds himself some energy drinks.
Yeah, boy.
And makes a brilliant plan to drink cans of them to ensure he doesn't fall asleep, which technically means he didn't stay over for the night. When Marin finds him, she spots him crouching in front of the energy drinks, but her focus is on what's above them, packs of jumbo-sized jizz stopper, and she starts tweaking, thinking that he's about to go freaky on her cave. Suddenly, Gojo says he won't sleep for the night, and Marin freaks out thinking about all the positions they're gonna do later. Then, Gojo coldly tells Marin that he's going to the checkout, and she freezes there, recalling what she said before, and realizes that she's going to wake up the next morning with back pain and satisfaction of being stuffed like a cream donut. Then, in the apartment, Marin anxiously looks at Gojo's shopping bag, wondering which size he bought and whether she's going to be stretched tonight. Just then, Gojo asks her if she's going to shower, and she takes it as an order to clean herself fully before defiling herself with his juices. But then, she feels fired up and puts on her best plot covers to ensure Gojo can get the best experience. When she steps out, she nervously tells Gojo it's his turn to take a bath. And while Marin is freaking out, Gojo is relaxing in the warm bath, recounting his master plan to avoid sleeping that night. But the moment he steps out, his mood darkens as he has to wear Marin's limited edition Degenerate jacket. He goes to continue playing the Coffin video game and notices how Marin is distancing herself. He calls her out for sitting in the corner, thinking that the host of the house should sit in the middle, while Marin sees it as Gojo being dominant and taking the lead. Deep down, she likes it, and scoots over to get closer to him. But when she does so, she starts overthinking, not knowing what steps to take now. She believes that they should have started with hand-holding before going deeper, but now Marin gets flustered, realizing she will be doing everything that night. She falls onto the floor, hitting her own head, and when she looks up, Gojo is there, worrying about her head, but all she can think of is how close he is to her and that he's in prime position to skewer repeatedly. Gojo tries to caress her head, but she begs him to stop, saying that she's not ready to get creamed yet. Instead, she asks that they eat first, so they eat some instant noodles, which eases Marin's nerves. She asks if Gojo eats instant noodles often, and he tells her that he doesn't. Marin then talks about how her father used to eat them late at night, and she always woke up to the sound of it cooking, and ended up eating with him. Gojo feels happy to hear Marin's family stories, and moments later, she falls asleep. So Gojo carefully lifts her up and lays her down in her own bed, while he continues the game. He opens his energy drink to keep his eyes open, but suddenly, the game changes tone into something darker. All his saves are suddenly gone, and things start getting more sinister. He finally experiences what the other girls boast about and how the game is terrifying. He witnesses how the game is about a schizophrenic nun who imagined all her nun friends after she ate them, and was once a victim of her own father's selfish and terrifying degenerate desires. All the while her mother only watches in silence, leaving her own daughter broken for life. The next morning, Marin wakes up to discover that she didn't get her creamy domains expanded by Gojo. But when she finds him, she sees the energy drinks in front of him. She quickly rewinds the moment at the store and realizes that what Gojo was buying was in fact energy drinks and not his cream holder. She then offers him to eat something for breakfast, but in that moment, he recalls the red food from the game and immediately feels sick, realizing what the red food is. Afterward, still traumatized, he video calls Shinju and Suzuka to tell them about his first experience with the game, from how he first experienced the tone shift in the game, to how he discovered that she ate all of her friends, and lastly to the traumatizing end screen of the game. And the girls are more than happy to see a first-time reaction out of someone towards the game they love. Meanwhile, Sajina is busy cutting and styling a wig for their upcoming coffin cosplay, while watching the newest episode of Black Lobelia. Just then, Shinju pops in to inform her that she has talked to Suzuka and made plans to make sure their cosplay goes smoothly, and Sajina nods softly at her sister. Suddenly, Shinju notices the hair Sajina is styling, and she realizes that it's the one she will be wearing. She asks why she's styling it, and Sajina tells her sister that since Shinju is planning things on her end, the least she could do to help out is help style wigs for them, and Shinju thanks her. Meanwhile, Marin is in her room, depressed over the fact that she prepared herself mentally and physically the other night, only not to get herself clapped by Gojo. She feels sad for believing that after last night, they will start dating each other, and she tells herself that she should tell him first. Unlike when they first met, she couldn't be as flirty around him anymore, and what scares her most is that if Gojo strictly only sees her as a friend and nothing more. Marin starts imagining herself confessing her feelings to Gojo, only to get herself rejected, and him slowly avoiding her because of it. That image makes her cry, and the next day, Noah notices how depressed she looks. Marin asks Noah if she would go out with someone she only saw as a friend, and Noah bluntly tells her that she won't. She points out that Marin would do the same if Kensei confessed to her, and Marin realizes exactly what she is talking about. Then, Marin goes to Gojo's place, but upon entering, Gojo tells her to leave, which hurts her feelings a little bit. But Gojo explains that he made deep-fried mackerel for dinner, but because Marin is on a diet, he believes it's best for her not to be there. However, after almost getting her heart broken by what he just said, Marin tells him that she wants to eat it, saying that it's her cheat day, as she doesn't want to leave his side. Then, the three eat dinner together, and while eating, Marin notices a special flavor in the fish. Gojo explains that he used pickled plums to season it because Marin is on a diet, and she feels touched by his gesture. After dinner, Gojo walks Marin to the front of his place, ready to say goodbye, when Marin suddenly holds his shirt and asks him softly to walk him to the station. He agrees, and on their walk there, Marin stops her stride and wants to confess right there. But being nervous, she asks to keep coming to his place instead, to which Gojo happily agrees. Then, Gojo bid her farewell with a smile, while Marin couldn't help but avoid seeing his face. She realizes that her relaxed approach won't get her anywhere, especially since her relationship with Gojo is on the line, and that makes her even sadder. On her walk home, some ugly simps approach her, offering to Eiffel Tower her, but she tells them to choke on their own glizzies and walks off, leaving them traumatized. But then, she realizes how sickening this feels, and promises to herself that after the group cosplay, she will confess to Gojo that she loves him. Thank you for watching today's recap video. If you enjoy this recap, comment down below cream rubber and hit the like button for part 11.